Hey, welcome to the Micheaux Mission, Two Men, One Podcast, every black film ever made. My name is Len, aka the Bat Tribble. And as always, I am joined by my partner.
Hey, this is Vincent Williams.
Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are continuing to get our giddy up on and bring you the best in black westerns, all part of our Black History Month celebration. And tonight, we have stopped into 1975 for Vincent's selection on this stop on the mission, where we review comic actor Richard Pryor, joined with writer, producer, director, lead star Fred Williamson in Adios Amigos.
Adios, amigos. Did you hear the song
Adios
enough?
Amigos.
Did you hear the song enough? Did they play the song enough for your liking, Lynn?
We're going to talk about that and so much more when we get to our review of this film today. But as always, first, we'd like to thank each and every one of you out there who is watching us streaming live and direct on Facebook as well as on Instagram. Shout out to Robert Monroe Jr., Aaron Fry, Deborah Battle, and everyone else out there. Hello, each and every one of you. Hope you're all safe and well.
Good evening, folks. Good to see you.
Vincent, how are you doing, my friend?
I am fine. I am just fine. And yourself?
I cannot complain, not at all.
Excellent. Excellent.
So I won't. But I thought that it's been a while since we took a trek through the Facebook group where a lot of our missionaries get together to chit chat with one another about different things, about movie and entertainment related. So I thought we'd start off the show with looking at that. And it's interesting, Vince, because just this week, a matter of fact, just yesterday, I sat down and watched a documentary on Netflix that I have been waiting to watch for quite some time. The Two Killings of Sam Cooke.
Okay. All right. Excellent.
Told about more or less the biography and the unfortunate, tragic murder of Sam Cooke that happened in the 60s, in 1964.
Yeah, 1964. That's right.
Right. Have you seen this documentary, Vince?
I have, and I'm a bit familiar with the story as well. So yes, I'm glad you watched it. Yeah.
It was
go ahead, I'll let you. Yeah.
No, I'm just going to say it was a very interesting documentary as it spells out Sam Cooke's life, and especially if you're in a more 21st century audiences may be more readily or more recently familiar with Sam Cooke as he was a character in the film One Night in Miami, which talked about, a night when Sam Cooke sat with his friends, Malcolm X, Cassius Clay, soon to be Muhammad Ali, and James Brown for one night in a hotel in Miami. Jim Brown. You're right. Jim Brown. Right. Jim Brown.
Mm-hmm.
And it is and that is actually a night that is alluded to in this documentary. As well as the documentary gives a lot more insight to the man that Sam Cooke was at this time. That movie alludes to Sam kind of like maybe losing his audience a little bit, maybe losing touch with Black America, and then finding his way back with the release of Change Is Going to Come. Yet the documentary says that from the beginning, Sam Cooke was decidedly his own man, and very much in tune with what was happening in the Black community, and was always what was going on there was always foremost on his mind. So I thought that painted a very different picture of Sam Cooke. What were your takeaways from that documentary, Vincent?
I mean, the same thing. You have to forgive me. I haven't seen the documentary in probably a year or two, and I get mixed up what was from where, what sort, what is from what. But as we've spoken about previously, and when we talked about One Night in Miami, I think what separates Sam Cooke from a lot of artists during that time, and frankly, even in modern times, is how focused he was as an artist on the business end. You know, I think certainly when we talk about someone like Barry Gordy, we think about him as a businessman, but there are very few artists that we think of who have that same focus on their business as they do their art. And Sam Cooke was one of the fairly early examples of a Black artist who was cognizant and vocal, because that was the other thing about Sam Cooke. Sam Cooke would talk to other artists about things like owning your masters, having your own studio, songwriting credits, at a time when this was unheard of.
Right.
At
Yeah,
that was unheard of. So that is frankly the part that I remember from the documentary and from various things that I've read that come out the most to me.
Yeah. The shame of it is that as attuned as he was to the business side of it, it didn't stop him from getting ripped off, you know, at the end. That's the shame of it.
Well, but even that, like I think there are all these forces in play. And I think the other thing that I really am fascinated by Sam Cooke in particular is something that you kind of talked to, this sentiment of your audience and your Black audience and you know, the streets versus the crossover. And Sam Cooke is this wonderful example of this phenomenon, because Sam Cooke was famous before he was secular.
Right.
Because he was this amazing gospel artist with the Soul Stirrers, and even that transition from the Soul Stirrers into quote unquote pop music was not without difficulty, and how all of that worked and how he kind of navigates it. I always say the two sides of Sam Cooke, they allude to it in One Night in Miami, where he wanted to play the Copa. You know, the Copacabana. Everybody talks about the Copacabana. And if you listen to that album, that live recording, Sam Cooke live at the Copa, it is crisp. It is just sort of, you know, for lack of a better word, polished. And the artistry comes through. But then you compare it to something like Sam Cooke live
in Harlem.
I think it's like Harlem Square or
Harlem Square. It came out in '85.
Yeah, which is this whole different dynamic with the audience. Both of them completely authentic, both of them amazing albums, but you get these two sides of Sam Cooke. Right. And then, as I've mentioned, I'm not really a conspiracy theorist. Like, not real. Like, I really am. Oftentimes, the easiest explanation is the one that makes the most sense. But as everybody is watching Judas and the Black Messiah, and there's a whole new generation figuring out that COINTELPRO existed, Sam Cooke's murder has always been one that made my spidey sense go off a little bit. Because of how aware he was of the business side of things. Right. And the implications of that as a Black audience, as someone who, one of my favorite lines in the movie, Sam Cooke is the only one who's not waiting for a check from a white man. That's right. So it's a great documentary. I'm a big fan of Sam Cooke. I'm a huge fan of Sam Cooke's music. I'm glad you watched it.
It's interesting that I did watch it, and then I turned it to the Facebook group today, and one of the lead stories on there is about someone who, if this is to believe, it's very interesting that he's not a part of the Sam Cooke documentary.
And
that
then
would
there's
be
Bobby Womack.
there's Bobby Womack. For those who do not know, ladies and gentlemen, because I certainly did not know this, and thank you to Michael Troutman, who, Ryan Smallwood actually posted this to the Facebook group, but this is a post from Michael Troutman. It says that Bobby Womack, quote, the most disrespectful man in Black history. Not Black music, Black history.
Yeah,
I mean, you got to think about how many people you've got to leap over to become the most disrespectful man in Black history for it to be Bobby Womack. Now, Bobby Womack, who is more famously known, what's his most famous song, Vincent?
If You Think You're Lonely Now is probably his most famous song.
Right. Well, if you think you're nice. Yeah, well, he obviously meant it, because Bobby Womack, who apparently his best friend was Sam Cooke. Now, we don't know whether or not Sam Cooke considered him his best friend, but he considered Sam Cooke his best friend. So much so that he slept with Sam Cooke's wife, showed up to Sam Cooke's funeral wearing Sam Cooke's suit, married Sam Cooke's wife, then cheated on her with Sam Cooke's daughter.
And as many people have pointed out, by cheating on him with Sam Cooke's daughter, it was a case of statutory rape.
Yes. So Bobby Womack, he may rightfully be the most disrespectful man in Black history.
It is a terrible story. The only wrinkle that you kind of add to it is that Sam Cooke's widow was 10 years older than Bobby Womack when they got together. Like, Bobby Womack was 20 years old. And the most apologist explanation I've ever heard, which kind of coincides with my conspiracy theory a little bit, is that Sam Cooke's widow reached out to Bobby Womack almost as protection.
Right.
Now, look, that's one explanation, but Sam Cooke, Bobby Womack did marry Sam Cooke's widow, and then eventually Bobby Womack was involved with Sam Cooke's 17-year-old daughter. Now, those are the facts.
Those are the
what
facts.
You do with those facts are, but look, man. Get some Sam Cooke music. Look, get some Bobby Womack. That's good music. So yeah,
okay. All right.
Bobby Womack was not a cool dude.
He's not a cool dude. Not a cool dude.
Yeah.
I don't even see it. Because if you look at Bobby Womack, I'm like, Bobby Womack? Like,
come on, man. Stop.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. But whatever. You mentioned Judas
and just being a dude. Come on, stop.
That's true. You know what? You got me there. You got me there. All right. So, but you mentioned Judas and the Black Messiah, which was released this past Friday in theaters where available, and also streaming on HBO Max. What did you get a chance to check it out?
I have not seen it, and in full disclosure, I don't know when I'm going to watch it, because that Fred Hampton story is one that takes a lot out of me, just generally. Yeah. So I don't know when I'm going to get around to seeing it. I've heard nothing but wonderful things about it, though, and considering the cast, I'm not surprised. But did you watch it?
I did watch the film, and not since I watched Rosewood have I watched the film and been made so angry at white people. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some hate to go around in this movie, but man,
certainly the government, certainly the United States government.
This it's a good movie. It's I think it's very well done. It's very, very well acted. You talked about the cast of the film, Judas and the Black Messiah, which stars Lakeith Stanfield as well as Daniel Kaluuya, who stars as Fred Hampton, the chairman of the Chicago, Illinois chapter of the Black Panther. This movie is about his portrayal back in the late 60s. And this movie, it's got Jesse Plemons in here, who was definitely very just eerie as hell in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
A almost unrecognizable Martin Sheen, Algie Smith, Dominique Fishback is in this film as well. It's really a very powerful cast. Powerful.
You want to be even angrier? Can I throw a little gasoline on the fire?
No, what are you gonna do?
The one critique that I read was about Daniel Kaluuya's casting, because Daniel Kaluuya is 31 years old.
Right, and
Fred Hampton was 20 years old.
He was 21 when he was.
Yeah, he was 21 years old. He was a kid.
Right.
They went in there and they murdered that man in his bed in front of his infant child, and he was a kid, and he was 21 himself.
Well,
the United States government.
Yeah, it wasn't even in front of his child hadn't been born yet.
Right. I'm sorry. Right.
She was still pregnant.
Right. His wife was there. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is not a conspiracy. This is not allegedly. These are all undisputed facts.
The undisputed facts. And this movie is about what happened to Fred Hampton, but it's also about the betrayal that he was victim to as well. You really got to see the film if you don't know the movie. If you don't know the story, I don't want to give it away that much because it is still very powerful.
Yeah.
A good film, a very good film. Very good film.
Meanwhile, the United States government just a year ago was infiltrating and investigating the Black Lives Movement and talking about they were a terrorist threat, and the Proud Boys and all of them, they were just good patriots. And well, there you go. The more things change.
Yeah, what a difference an administration makes.
I guess. We'll see. We should probably move on.
We will move on. Bougie Square Society asked a question to us, Vince. He wants to know, have we reviewed Why I Got Married 2?
We have not reviewed the sequel to Why Did I Get Married, which is Why Did I Get Married 2? And I believe it's TOO, isn't it?
It is TOO.
Because it's another person trying to figure out why did they get married.
Why the hell did they get married? Bougie Square Society says, I watched it the other day and it's so terrible that I need some comedic relief.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I did. I have seen that movie.
It's a wild movie.
I do remember it being.
It's a wild movie.
Wild. I do.
Like, it's not acrimony or temptation level. But
No,
Why
it's
Did I
not.
Get Married Too is pretty buck wild.
Yeah. I do remember. I remember it being a little buck wild. I remember it being a little long, if I remember correctly.
And then The Rock shows up at the end.
Yeah.
And they gave him a UPS uniform, and The Rock said, "This one fits just right. Do you have one that's 2 sizes smaller?" And where's the baby oil?
Right before the line dance. I think that is what happened, and Why I Got Married Too. There you go. I know you're a fan of the actress Ruth Negga, Vince.
I am.
Did you see that she is going to be starring in a limited series based on the life of one Josephine Baker?
I did, and I am maybe looking forward to that.
I'm looking forward to that as well.
I think I'm looking forward to that. She was in passing that people saw passing at Sundance. Which what? How come we didn't get some Sundance stuff? Let's go ahead and put that out there. I feel like we should have got some Sundance stuff. Anyway, I'm waiting for Passing to show up.
Yeah, she is starring in. It's going to be called Josephine. She's also the executive producer on the project that is going to be overseen as the showrunner by D. Harris Lawrence, a Black woman. It's going to be produced by Millicent Sheldon, LeBron James, and Maverick Carter's Spring Hill Company. As part of their overall deal with ABC. I'm very interested in it. She actually is an actress who I've enjoyed. I enjoyed her in. She was good on Preacher, that was on AMC.
Yeah, she was the best thing on Preacher.
Yeah. And she was also. Did you see the film Loving?
I did not.
But she's good in Loving. Loving
is.
Loving.
Oh no,
Loving.
She's good. Loving. She's good in Loving.
Oh yeah, she's very good in Loving, and Loving's a sweet story. It's a sweet. Well, it's a bit of a tearjerker, but it's a sweet story. I'm very interested in the post from it was posted in Deadline on their website about her casting, and it showed her picture side by side with Josephine Baker, and you can see that there definitely is a resemblance between the two.
Yeah, she looks like her a little bit.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward. I'm definitely looking forward to that. That promises to be something really strong.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for that.
Speaking of the industry darlings, this is something that came out last year, I think, or the year before last, and it kind of slipped through. Me and the wife watched Seal in the Spades the other night.
Oh! Wait a minute. What's that movie about? Tell me real quick.
It's about a boarding school. It's about a boarding school, but it centers around a little sister who is like the head of one of the, it's boarding school stuff. So, it's like factions and houses, and she's the head of one of them.
Okay.
And it's her sort of, and it is played by an actress that I have mentioned in passing. Let me just pull her name on. And that would be the young actress Lovie Simone.
Okay.
Lovie Simone, who played a part in Greenleaf. Remember my Guilty Pleasure, Greenleaf, but absolutely pops in the whole like she really was, besides Keith David and oh my God, I just forgot. Lynn Whitfield. Like, you expect Keith David and Lynn Whitfield, but she's like the daughter. She was like the daughter of one of the couples, and she popped immediately. And it was like, oh, that little sister can act.
Okay.
And she was a star, and she was very good. Jarrell Jerome is in it, who was so good in I just forgot Ava DuVernay's documentary about the Central Park Five. Was it called the Central Park Five?
When They See Us.
When They See Us. He was so good in that. He's fantastic in it. Jesse Williams shows up for a minute. If you ever wanted to see Gina Torres peel an apple and tell the fable of the scorpion and the frog, which is something until this moment you didn't realize you wanted to see. But Gina Davis peeling an apple, Gina Torres peeling an apple and telling the fable of the scorpion and the frog is as amazing as you think it is.
Okay. All right.
Well, I'm a big so yeah. Seal in the Spades.
Seal in the Spades. I have to check that out.
Yeah.
Most definitely. I look forward to checking that out, Vincent.
We did not mention that Mary Wilson passed last week, so we should probably acknowledge that.
Oh yeah.
We didn't acknowledge Mary Wilson's passing. And Chick Corea passed this week.
Yeah, for all you music heads.
Yeah. Right. So I did want to talk about both of them, at least briefly, like mention them. So
well done. Thank you. Because I did not have that in my listing, so I appreciate you.
Hey, it's a fast moving show.
It is. Just a couple more things from the Facebook group, because people have been very chatty in here.
Okay.
Vincent, I don't know if you're aware or if you've taken the time to check out the star of Bridgerton, or one of the stars,
Yeah.
Reggae Jean Page, is going to be hosting Saturday Night Live with Bad Bunny sent as the musical guest. Did you have an opportunity to check out any of Bridgerton?
I've not watched one moment of Bridgerton.
Yeah. I've watched a couple of episodes. It's one of those things that, okay, this is not for me, but I see what you're doing here. So, all right.
Hey, I like when people enjoy things. It seems like people are enjoying it.
Yeah, and it's well done. It's well done. So shout out to Shonda Rhimes.
Right.
Doing good stuff. And
shout out to that brother. Like he's doing his thing.
Yeah.
He's doing his thing. Regina King was on Saturday Night Live last week, so he got something to follow up. And
I didn't catch her on Saturday Night Live. Did you catch any of it?
She was quite funny.
Really? Well, I mean, she's got skills.
Yeah. So,
glad to see her get that opportunity. And somebody even pointed out, it's like, there's 2 black people hosting Saturday Night Live in a row. Like,
I know, crazy.
How's that supposed to happen?
Yeah, and Issa Rae was just on a couple of, has it been 2 months?
Right. Could it be?
Dave Chappelle, which, speaking of, we should probably mention Dave Chappelle getting his rights back to his show.
So I didn't hear that, because I recently saw that. You know what? Where did I just see? No, it was still on HBO Max, and I remember him saying that it was still going to be his show was still on HBO Max, and they hadn't removed it, and I didn't watch it because trying to solidarity or whatever.
Right. Well, it's worked.
Really, it has.
Yeah, according to Dave Chappelle, he got all his rights back. He got a better contract, and it was quite the flex.
Oh, that's cool. That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right. So now I can watch the Chappelle Show again.
Now you can watch the Chappelle Show, which is never not. You know what, Lynn? At least once a day, if I have some cheese, I say, "There's some good ass cheese." I'm thinking about how good this cheese was. At least once a day. Arsenio Hall enjoying cheese and being oddly aggressive about it lives in my heart.
Nice and done. One last thing. I was very happy to see that, at least according to the Nielsen ratings, that the Equalizer, starring Queen Latifah, opened strong in its premiere after the recent Super Bowl.
Nice.
And I think it is still keeping up strong ratings in the weeks since.
Nice. Have you seen it? Did you watch it?
No.
Okay.
Have you?
No. And I meant to. I actually meant to. It just, time.
I'll be honest. It doesn't look like it's not my cup of tea. It's
sure.
It's not my cup of tea. See, it's on CBS. And CBS is primarily known for their procedurals, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is why, to me, like a show like All Rise sticks out, because it's 1 hour long on CBS and it's not a procedural. So it's like it sticks out. It staked its own lane on there. The Equalizer with Queen Latifah, much love to the Queen, just looks like another one of their procedurals.
Look.
But I ain't mad at her. Cut that check.
Man, and I'm about to say CBS makes very traditional fare. But speaking of that schism between Sam Cooke and the art and the commerce, I love when my people get CBS shows.
That's true.
Because you can. I literally said it last night. We were looking at a rerun of All Rise. You can tell All Rise is settling in. All Rise will be on for like 8 years. Like it'll just be on.
That's true.
And I love it.
That's true.
So Shamar Moore, Simone Missick, Queen Latifah, that Cedric the Entertainer show. that I've never seen one episode on.
Oh, with the Neighborhood?
That's been on like 3 or 4 years. Make that money. Make that money, black people. Get them CBS shows.
Is the Neighborhood on CBS? Is that a CBS show?
Yes.
Oh, well, there you go.
White people will watch CBS shows from now on.
That's true. You got that right.
You're these shows like you flip by and it'll say like CSI stuff, and it's like, does that say like the 17th season? Is that a typo?
No, right? Right?
Can it really be 17 years?
And the thing is, that's the spinoff.
The
spinoff.
CSI 1, 2, 3, as you've never seen it. For the 32nd season premiere, we push the boundary. Look, man. I love it. You know I love it. Right, Cedric the Entertainer, I'm so happy for him.
God bless him. You're right. You're right.
So I hope the Equalizer stay on for like 12 years. You already tell it's a little girl in it. She gonna grow up, be little Equalizer.
You see in the chat, Sharon Eldridge named it the Latifalizer.
Look, I'm all for it. You know what? This isn't CBS, but it was the same type of thing. Somehow I fell down a rabbit hole reading about Family Matters,
really?
Which I think I watched 2 episodes my entire life.
Really? Really?
But same thing. Look, black people got jobs, good steady jobs. I read like the last season, the synopses.
Mm-hmm.
And in the last season, Eddie, the Theo character, he was a policeman.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how long Family Matters was on. So look, make that money, black people. Yes. Get one of them CBS shows.
That's real. That's real.
So very happy for Queen. Very happy for the Queen.
So am I. So am I. You know, hey, it's not for me, but God bless you. Make that cheddar, baby. Make it. Make it
that
all.
Money. Make that money. Yeah.
God bless you. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen. It is time. I put it off as long as I can. It is time for us to get into our review of Vince's selection.
It absolutely was.
This is Vince's choice.
This was 100% my choice. Yeah.
So for all of you out there that watch the Mission movies along with us, look at that guy right there. This is his choice. It's his fault that we are about to review 1975's Adios Amigos.
Adios Amigos.
Adios. It is catchy though.
It's a catchy song. It's a catchy song.
But first, we got time for trailer talk.
All right. What's up?
I don't have any.
I feel like there was something I wanted to ask you or tell you, and now I can't think of what it is. I'll, of course, remember it 30 minutes after we leave.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's usually what happens, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who don't know. That's when I get a text from Vince. Oh, yeah.
Something.
But let's save it for the show.
Let's save it for the show.
All right. Well, that's been trailer talk, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't eat. I'm hungry. I haven't eaten.
Let's call it what it is.
I'm hungry. I can smell my chicken like calling me, dog. So I had baked some chicken, and okay, Vince. I baked chicken and I made some broccoli, right? and I tried to make brown rice. I can't hear you all of a sudden. This happened last week.
You got me?
Now I got you.
Okay, go ahead.
So I tried to make brown rice. I can't make rice. And I know it's supposed to be real easy to make rice. You just boil the water, you put in the rice, you stir it, you let it sit. I can't make rice, man. This rice just did not come out right, man. So I wound up having to make some fries.
Look, you tried.
Which now it dawns on me, they're not going to be right because fries warmed up don't taste good, and they're sitting there waiting for me as well. Right.
Oh,
well. Deborah Battle wants to know, do we have to review ADIOS AMIGOS?
We absolutely do, Deborah. We absolutely do. We have to do the work.
Yeah, that should be your that should be the next T-shirt. We have to do the work. That's all Vince ever tells me.
Let's do the work.
Bree 517 says I should get a rice cooker.
Oh, look, people swear by them.
What is a rice cooker? I don't know what a rice cooker is.
It actually is just what it says. Hold on, Lynn. I'm gonna turn off my earbuds.
Oh, you turn them off. Bree 517. While we're in the middle of trail talk, and it's nice to know that I'm not the only one that can't make rice. What is a rice cooker? I never knew. Is that like one of those pressure things that you can put the rice in? Like, do you have to actually put water? I still don't hear you, Vince. You're talking and I don't hear you. I don't hear you. Why don't you warm up your buds before we get on camera, ladies and gentlemen?
Here's the thing. I thought they were warmed up or charged, but I was sitting here watching Killing Eve. I think I may have
ran them down.
Right. So we gonna do it old school.
Oh, brother.
You got me right here though, right? You can hear me now.
Yeah,
right?
I can hear you, but this means that I have to take out your echo when we do the show, when I do the editing. It's a whole thing.
But I'm talking in the mic.
Yeah, but
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, trust me, it echoes. It echoes. Trust
me.
Yeah. It's fine.
I swear I thought they were more charged though.
I'm gonna have to bring you like some good, like the headphones that I wear that plug into.
Right.
Because you need plugins.
I need plugins. So I'm so busy trying to be fancy with the charged ones.
You don't have. Everybody's got like just a pair of like headphones just laying around. Regular.
You know what the problem is? You know what the real problem is? I use them all the time now.
Your earbuds.
Right, because so sometimes I'll have them in and I forget I even have them in. Like I'm using them and I don't have to use them.
Mm-hmm.
Like once I figured out how to talk on the phone with them, that was ball game. Anyway, sorry for the echo.
Aisha Davis says that her sister can't make rice. See, it's not just me.
Oh, that's my cousin.
Well, Aisha is your cousin?
Yeah. Well, and it's a shame because our great grandmother made amazing rice.
Oh, Bree says her sister-in-law is Filipino and she has the rice cooker going all day. It's like a crock pot. It's like a crock pot. It tells you the cups of water to add, and then all right. This is what I got to do. I'm going to go and everybody's giving Len rice tips. I'm going to go get myself a rice cooker.
I was going to say the hive mind. The hive mind come together.
They're coming together because I want some rice, and I don't have any rice. And you know, ideally, why I really want rice.
Okay.
Because the one meal I've never tried to make it, and I've never tried to make it because I can't make rice. The best meal, like one of the best meals I ever had in my life was like I dated someone who made dirty rice.
Mm.
And other other people have tried to make dirty rice and it's okay, but she made the world's best dirty rice. And I know I probably will never make it as good as her, but I wanted to at least try and make it as good as her because I know what hers tasted like. So I'll know if I get close as I mess around with it. But first, I have to learn how to make rice.
Step one. Rice.
Right. Exactly, man. So I want to make some dirty rice. I got to figure out a way.
All right. This has been Rice Talk with Lynn Webb. You ready to talk about Adios Amigos?
Yes, I'm ready to talk about it. Adios Amigos, a 1975 American comedy western, written, produced, directed by Fred Williamson, who also stars in the lead role. The film co-stars Richard Pryor as well. A frontier con man, Richard Pryor, tries scams that never work, leaving his partner, Fred Williamson, behind to explain. Adios Amigos, which also stars James Brown as a sheriff, Robert Phillips and Mike Henry as Mary's husband, though Mary doesn't get a credit here. It was Vince's selection for this stop on the Micheaux mission. Vincent, what have you to say of Adios Amigos?
Well, before I begin, I think it's also worth pointing out that Thomas Rosella is in it for an extended scene.
Yes.
So, arguably one of the better scenes in a film that does not have a lot of good scenes. So, there's that. I think I have 3 takeaways from this film.
Aha!
Like just skip to the end. These are my 3 takeaways.
Okay.
First, I completely understand why this film has faded into obscurity. It's not a good film, and neither of its stars, Richard Pryor nor Fred Williamson, are proud of this film. So the quality of the film, as well as benign disinterest from the stars, speaks to why this film has faded. 2, in contrast, you can start to make your case for an answer to our question from last week. Why do people hold Thomasine and Bushrod in such high regards?
Right.
Because for those of you keeping track, and we're going to just keep going throughout the years, if you count Blazing Saddles as a black film, which for the sake of argument we will, although I think many would say as a crossover film and a Mel Brooks film, people don't often talk about it
as a black film.
As a black film, and certainly not part of the quote unquote blaxploitation
era.
Bushrod and Thomasine may be the second best black cowboy film from the 70s, right after Buck and the Preacher. Third, and this speaks to my second point a little bit, this is an example of a film that we have run into periodically that makes me appreciate Dolomite. And Welcome Home, Brother Charles. And dare I say it, the Tyler Perry films that we've watched.
Okay.
Because it ain't that easy, is it?
Very true.
It ain't that easy to make a movie.
Very true.
It's on the basic level of filmmaking. It ain't that easy. Like, I thought about Dolomite immediately in the first scene where everything is out of focus and the scene just sort of dribbles out because nobody's paying attention anymore. And I actually wrote in my notes, because he's his co-star in the other 2 cowboy movies that Fred Williamson made a couple of years prior to this. Why didn't he call Derville Martin to direct this?
Right. Yeah.
Because this is a film that neither of the principals was that interested in making as a film. This was a film that both of them made to prove a point, flash out of spite. Fred Williamson, we should probably start with Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor felt some kind of way about his experience with Blazing Saddles, which he helped write, and depending on who you talk to, either didn't get the part, didn't go out for the part, there was some type of schedule. Like, I've heard 2 or 3 different reasons why Cleavon Little got the lead as opposed to Richard Pryor. But the bottom line is Richard Pryor did not star in Blazing Saddles. And he had a little bit of an attitude about it.
Right.
Along those same lines, Fred Williamson, who famously takes himself and this genre very seriously, did not like Blazing Saddles.
Thought it was silly.
He said it was silly.
Yes.
And frivolous. So the both of them, with a bit of a chip on their shoulder, basically said, well, we can do better than that. But making a film takes more than just you not liking something else.
Right.
You have to commit to the actual craft of making the film. And this is a movie that I think the very first scene is a microcosm of every problem with Adios Amigo. Again, the film starts, standard Western town. There are some white toughs in the midst of some type of hullabaloo. For the record, the action is out of focus.
Yes.
And it's not centered.
No.
Everything is sort of on the side.
Yes. And that's because that's where the camera is.
Because
the camera doesn't move.
The camera doesn't move. Fred Williamson's character, Big Ben, somehow gets caught up in this hullabaloo. And at one point, one of the white hooligans hits him with, it looks like some flour. And then he says, oh, now you look like one of us. Ha, 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 ha. Fred Williamson's character goes and gets almost like a chimney.
Yes.
Hits the white man with the chimney. Black coal powder goes on the face of the white man. You wait for Fred Williamson to respond with the joke. Well, now you look like me. But Fred Williamson is so uninterested in the scene and so uninterested in a script.
That's what it is.
The joke never actually comes. And this is the first of over a dozen, and I hesitate to call them scenes, because a scene implies that it is part of a whole.
A whole narrative, right?
Second scene, third scene. The third scene comes between the second scene and the fourth scene.
Right.
They're not even sketches of scenes. You have these characters, and Richard Pryor's character, as it says in here, is a con man who kind of runs these cons. Oftentimes, Big Ben is the butt of the joke. I'm going to take this money. Big Ben's gonna pay you back. I'm going to bet on Big Ben fighting this guy. Big Ben doesn't know he's going to get into a fight. Then he gets into a fight. I'm going to steal a horse. I steal, and they all just kind of peter out and go from scene to scene. And it is terrible. This is a terrible, and I hesitate to call it a movie. And I think what really kind of bothers me is that when you read about this film, Fred Williams says, look, I only had 12 pages of a script. Like, he didn't even really have a script. He said, I got 12 pages.
That's not a script. That's an outline.
And the plan was that I would allow Richard Pryor to improvise.
Mm-hmm.
And then that would fill it in.
Mm-hmm.
And that was his entire plan. And the thing is, I don't even know if you squint. If you kind of, like I mentioned, there's this extended sequence where he and Thalmus Russella are playing cards, and Thalmus Russella has two beautiful daughters, of course, and you see where it's going. But I don't know what Thalmus Russella was. I don't know if Thalmus Russella was drunk or high, but he seemed to be having a really good time with that wig.
Yeah, he's got a weird outfit on. Yeah.
And the weird, and he's doing like this weird accent, and he's having a ball. And I assume Thalmus Russella and Richard Pryor know each other.
Mm-hmm.
Just they ran in the same circles. And for the 5 minutes that the two of them were playing cards, I said, all right. All right.
You were squinting real hard, Vince.
I was, look.
You were squinting real hard, man.
Dog of a film. This is a dog of a film.
You were squinting real hard, man, if you saw something in that scene.
There's a conceit where they use sketches.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even want to use the word transition between scenes.
Yeah, and I don't want to use the word art.
But you kind of see what they're going for.
Yes.
Like you kind of see, it's low budget, and we've talked about low budget films, and we've talked about the strategies that these low budget filmmakers use.
Mm-hmm.
Here you go, Lynn. You ready? You ready, Lynn?
Mm-hmm.
It reminded me a bit of how Within Our Gates, Oscar reused footage.
Yes.
To show flashbacks.
Yes.
And I did my chin, and I said, if Fred Williamson utilized Oscar Micheaux's strategy of reusing and reutilizing footage,
mm-hmm.
in the spirit of that you see through the sketches. But not really.
No.
So that I don't even know where to end my part. Like, I'll just sort of drift off like all of the scenes do. I'll just sort of drift off
mm-hmm.
and let you talk and let you go ahead and, I mean...
I present to you Exhibit A. This film came out in 1975, correct, Vince?
Yes, it did. December 25th. It was a Christmas present to the people.
Okay. So it came out in December of 1975. As you mentioned, this film was written by Fred Williamson. He wrote a script that is 12 pages long. Now, just as a point of reference for those who may not know this, the rule of thumb in the movie game is that each page of a script represents about a minute's time of film.
So a film that is an hour and a half, the script should be how long, Lynn?
About 90 pages.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
This film, which clocks in at an hour and 47 minutes, the script is 12 pages. You said you're waiting for the joke. The joke ain't there because there's no script. You said the film opens up because these people are just meandering into a scene because there's no script that tells them where to go.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing there. You say that he left room for Richard Pryor, the comic actor of the time, to just be freelance and improvise as much as he wanted to. Now, if you want to believe that Richard Pryor is improvising throughout this film, which he seems like he is, that's fair. But then you also have to believe that in 1975, Richard Pryor is, as has been alluded to, as he has made admissions to, in the midst of an intense cocaine habit. A habit which, as you alluded to some of the stories of why he didn't get cast in Blazing Saddles, some stories say is the reason why he didn't get cast in Blazing Saddles, because he was literally uninsurable for the film. So if you believe that Richard Pryor, who doesn't look like he's at at his fullest capacity at any time throughout this film, is in the midst of a cocaine fever dream while he's filming this film, then the idea of him being able to improvise and fill out the rest of this movie kind of falls to the wayside. And oh no, we've got a problem. But Fred Williamson is not concerned with that, because not only has he only allotted 12 pages for the script, he's only allotted 9 days to film the film.
And I think they said 3 or 4 of those days were spent with Richard Pryor and the horse.
Exactly.
Couldn't ride a horse.
Getting him to learn how to.
It was all this time them figuring out Richard Pryor and the horse.
Now, point of reference. The average 30-minute sitcom, ladies and gentlemen, takes 5 days to do their 30-minute episode, which is not even 30 minutes because it's really 22 minutes because it allows 8 minutes for the commercials. That's 5 days of rehearsing, touching up the script, blocking, direction, and then filming. That's the average 3-camera sitcom. This movie, which clocks in at 1 hour and 47 minutes and features a 12-page script, was filmed in 9 days. Now, that makes absolutely no sense. But the most egregious sin of this film is not by Richard Pryor, who probably just needed a check to fuel his habit, or was looking at this as some type of vanity project to get back at them, not casting them in Blazing Saddle.
Also doing a solid for his friend.
Also maybe doing a solid for his friend, Fred Williamson. Somehow they wrote James Brown into this movie. Blinking, you missed him, because I must have fell asleep because I didn't see him in there. But I'm not going to say he's not in there. But, and then maybe it's not the same James Brown. I don't know. I don't care. I don't think
it's the same. Mm-hmm.
I don't care. Also, real quick, the average movie, if you know anything about credits, ladies and gentlemen, you'll watch a film and it'll say, starring Cary Grant, starring Katharine Hepburn, co-stars Jimmy Stewart, co-star Myrna Loy. And then it will say, introducing Elizabeth Taylor. Because introducing indicates that this person, who is going to be germane to the plot, is their first time on film.
Right.
Which is usually why that credit is used, and is usually used for, well, more often, one person in the cast, maybe 2 people in the cast, if you have 2 people who's their first time to contribute something mightily to a movie. This film, Adios Amigos, says introducing, and I think there are 8 names underneath the credit. it says introducing at least 8 names. Are these names that you know? No, ladies and gentlemen. They've done nothing else since Adios Amigos. You know why? Because they don't do anything in Adios Amigos. Most of them don't even have a line. If they have
might introduce Lady Reed.
Exactly. Exactly. But even that, ladies and gentlemen, is not the most egregious sin of Adios Amigos. And to get you into the most egregious sin, I present for you Exhibit A through Z, the filmography of Fred Williamson before 1975.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So before 1975, Fred Williamson starred in an episode of Ironside from 1968 as a detective, right? Detective has a name. He actually is Detective Sergeant Lapierre, which means that he had at least one line in the episode, okay? He would then go on to do an episode of The Outsider, an episode of the original series Star Trek, an episode of The Bold Ones, The Protectors, and another series from 1969. All of these shows are from 1969. He did 3 shows in 1969, all right? Then he stars in 1970 as Spear Chucker Jones in the original MASH movie, all right? Which he doesn't have a huge role in the film, but he has lines. He would then go on to be in Tell Me That You Love Me, Junie Moon, a movie from 1970. He then stars from 1969 to 1971 as Steve Bruce, the boyfriend of Julia in the TV series Julia. Okay, so now he's doing series work, and he's not just doing episodes. He's on there for a couple of episodes, and he's getting his acting chops. Fair enough. Then he will go on to do The Legend of Nigger Charlie, Hammer, which was his big movie in 1972, the movie that made him a star, Black Caesar in 1973. He returns to the Nigger Charlie franchise for The Soul of Nigger Charlie in 1973. Hell Up in Harlem, where he is Tommy Gibbs. That Man Bolt. All of these films in 1970. So he does 5 films in 1973, which means that he is on 5 movie sets in 1973. And in all of these films, he's the lead. He's the BMOC, big man on film, on campus there. In 1973, he also has recurring, does a couple of episodes of Police Story. He does a film in 1974. He does 3 films, Crazy Joe, 3 Tough Guys, Black Eye, and then he ends that with 3 The Hard Way, the infamous film that we reviewed, where he played Jagger Daniels. He would then do a episode of the Rookies on TV, Boss Nigger, and Bucktown, and Take a Hard Ride, and Me and Johnny Barrows are all films that he does in 1975, the same film that he did in Adios Amigos. Now, doing those 5 films in 1975, one, explains why he only had 9 days to film Adios Amigos. So I'll give you that.
Right.
But what it doesn't excuse, it does not excuse this man who has been on television sets, who has been on movie sets since 1968. I just spelled it out for you. It does not excuse how this man now taking it upon himself to write, produce, and direct a film does not know A, where to put the damn camera so that it captures everything in the scene. B, if nothing else, where to put the camera so it catches you on the screen, because as many times he's talking off screen or he is in complete shadow, wearing black, and you cannot see him. There's a disembodied voice coming out of the shadow. 3, does not know that when this film is done and it is edited together, that, my God, we do not even have a competent looking movie. I'm sorry. We have seen films by first-time directors who never have directed anything in their entire life. We have seen films by people who have done nothing but be a writer or nothing but be an actor. But then when they get set down to direct a film, they do a film. It may not be the greatest film. There may be some things that that you can tell this little director doesn't know what they're doing. But at the end of the day, when it's all pieced together, it looks like a movie.
Yes.
It looks like a competent piece of work. Maybe not the best movie ever, but it looks like a feature film. There are home movies from the birth of film that look better than Adios Amigos.
Yeah.
This has this is not the worst movie that we have reviewed. It's not.
What's worse than this?
Well, I had it in my head. Oh, there's only 2 films that are, no, there's actually only 1 film that is worse than this.
What is it? Because I'm curious what you think is worse than this.
The New Barbarians. Which
no, The New Barbarians has an actual narrative.
Well, I'm about to say. Wait a minute, Vince. I'm about to say. I consider The New Barbarians a worse film than this, but I give The New Barbarians a pass, which, surprisingly enough, also stars Fred Williamson. But
listen, the pattern here.
I give the New Barbarians a pass because, one, it's a foreign film that's been dubbed English, and so there maybe you're missing some of the sensibilities. So yes. I'll give it that pass. And then two, to your point, there is decidedly a beginning, a middle, and an end to that film. I think that overall, as it is made, it just comes off to like just real stupid. But even as I'm saying that, Vince, the other pass I'm giving it is because it was chosen for Mother May I. Yeah. So it's a movie that we knew was going to be bad. Yeah. Yeah. So I'll give it that pass. And I cannot give Fred Williamson the pass because Fred Williamson should have known better.
He knows better. And this is funny.
Richard Pryor was high.
Money he put up.
Richard Pryor was high. He said he needed the money. He didn't know. He didn't care. You're going to take 3 days to put me on a horse and you're going to pay me what amount of money? I don't care. I'm going to do it. Everybody else, even the 25 extras that got a credit as introducing into this film, they don't care. They're in a film, you know? All the extras that are running around when he walks into this Old West town that looks like more like the Old West, village at Disneyland. I could swore there's somebody walking around with popcorn and a watch. They don't care. They're in the fucking movie. But Fred Williamson, that man should know better that when this is done, like, dog, this is, I would be embarrassed to put my name on this film.
Well, I think he is. Again, they don't.
No, he's not. He's not.
No, I mean now. And no, I think almost immediately after it comes out, he all but disavows it.
Okay, you might disavow the movie. However, that tells me that, all right, well, maybe this is a learning experience, okay? Right. So, taking that into account, I looked up Fred Williamson and looked, well, did he learn? The next year, the following year, Fred Williamson writes, produces, and directs Death Journey.
I was just looking at Death Journey. I made a note of Death Journey. Oh, that's so funny you were talking about Death Journey. Death Journey, which had a sequel, or I think it was a series.
I don't know. I don't know how, because
it is Death Journey, and then it's No Way Back, and then it's Blind Rage. All of them, he plays private investigator Jesse Crowder.
Yeah, well, Death Journey is a journey into the morgue, ladies and gentlemen. But he's learned nothing, Vince, nothing. So he can say now, sure, oh, I'm ashamed of it. But the fact is that he put this film out, and he should be embarrassed from day one. This is a horrible waste of time. And you owe me an hour and 47 minutes.
I not at all. I owe you nothing. I owe you nothing. Film with Richard Pryor and Fred Williamson from 1975. We should know about it. Now, we can quibble about when we should have watched it, but this is very much something that's going to come up. And I'm going to do you one better. I think this is the worst movie that we've watched. Edged out very, very little by the $6,000 nigga, which I thought was a good scene. But again, another film with a narrative.
Yeah.
With continuity. With characters that actually are consistent throughout.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Because his Fred Williamson's character here, Big Ben, who I don't think I learned his name was Ben until like an hour into the movie.
They never actually introduced themselves to each other.
No, ever in the film. But yet they, through osmosis, know each other's name. Yes. But you're meant to believe like he's kind of like a big, bad, tough guy in the beginning of the film, and then the rest of the film he gets his ass kicked.
Yeah.
He gets his ass kicked for the rest. And let me tell you, and there's a scene where he steps in, he walks in on these white guys who stole his horses, and he walks in and he holds his gun at them and he shoots them. Now, why does he hold his gun sideways? He holds his gun like this as he and this is, ladies and gentlemen, and this is not, this ain't Boys in the Hood. This ain't Menace to Society where, the young boys. This is Fred Williamson, the cowboy, holding his 6-shooter. Nobody holds a 6-shooter like this.
Look, you can go down this road. I mean, it was distracting to me, that Boy Scout hatchet that the man gave him to chop wood, because nobody could be bothered to go down to the hardware store and buy an actual axe.
We only think he was chopping wood because you don't see the wood.
Right.
You just
the chain gang with the clearly plastic or fake chains
that were bigger than their arms.
The setups with all these, because look, folks, this is blaxploitation. This is Fred Williamson. There are certain expectations, and it was just confusing how there are no less than 5 different setups with farmers' daughters, mayor's daughters, daughters they run into, women they run into, and you think, okay, well, I guess this is the scene. This is the blaxploitation love scene. Mm-hmm. And no one can even be bothered to go through with that. Like, this is a film that starts premise after premise and doesn't care enough to follow through on any of the premises.
Nope.
It is amazing. It is amazing how bad this film is.
This may be, you're right. You're right. This may be the worst movie that we've seen.
Look, I keep count. And again, I'm going to keep going back. Apparently, he and Derville Martin are friends, as we were just talking about the Jesse Crowder films that he made 3 of. Derville Martin is in at least one of them. Derville Martin is in 2 of the Nigger Charlie movies, and he's in Boss Nigga. So he and Derville Martin have a friendship.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Dolomite is not Moonlight. But Dolomite works.
That may be the first time and the only time that Dolomite and Moonlight will be
Dolomite and Moonlight are spoken up in the same sentence. Dolomite and Moonlight. Now, what I want to do, I want to take Dolomite and dub in the score for Moonlight. But I do think Fred Williamson, and just to sort of bring it to current times, like the last time we really talked about Fred Williamson is that Fred Williamson was one of the loudest voices against Black Dynamite.
Yeah.
Where he said Black Dynamite was disrespectful to the films of the 70s. But this has always been Fred Williamson's deal. And he's my favorite blaxploitation actor, but he takes himself way too seriously.
Way too seriously.
And I'll tell you why he produced, wrote, and directed a film, even after, as you said, all those years when he should have known better. Because Fred Williamson said, I'm Fred Williamson. Why can't I? 9 days? Okay. Script, let me write up 12 pages. I'm Fred Williamson. I'll fill in the rest.
Yeah. Well. He ain't. There's a reason why Fred Williamson, not long after the end of the blaxploitation era, takes his talents overseas, and that's where most of his films output was seen. Because, oh man.
Yeah.
But the shame of it is we talked about it. We talked about in some of these films. He has a presence. He does.
Look, I talked about it with the Thalamus Rosella scene. I don't think I'm going to leave room for Richard Pryor to improvise is a bad plan as a plan.
Yes.
I do think you have to give Richard Pryor a bit more framework.
You do.
Than what you have here. Because I'm going to keep that scene with he and Thalamus Rosella where you can tell they're just riffing.
Yes, because
they're just riffing. But with, a fair amount of tweaking. Yeah. It could have worked. I'm talking about Derville Martin. If Rudy Ray Moore would have written the script to this, if Rudy Ray Moore would have brought the attention that he brought to Dolomite, to Adios Amigo, you got something. You give Richard Pryor the skeleton that you have from the Human Tornado or Petey Wheatstraw, the Devil's Son-in-Law, and you throw Richard Pryor in there, you got something.
Maybe so, but if in 1975, if you tell me, okay, I got a movie that's going to be made by Dolomite and Derville Martin, or I've got a movie that's going to be made by Fred Williamson and Richard Pryor, you're going to bet on Richard Pryor and Fred Williamson.
Well, you should, but I think you're also assuming that someone wrote a script and someone can direct.
Well, but no. If you told me in 1975, Dolomite, Rudy Ray Moore is writing, directing, and producing his own movie, or he's written and is producing his own movie, and he wrote his friend Dorvell Martin to direct it. And over here, Fred Williamson is writing, producing, and he's going to direct the film, but he's roped in his friend Richard Pryor to co-star with him. You're still going to bet on Fred Williamson and Richard Pryor. And even if they both come out and don't make good films, you're going to at least think that the Fred Williamson film is going to feel much more like a complete actual motion picture than anything Rudy Ray Moore and Dorvell Martin do. And that's not true. And the shame is not on Dolomite. The shame is on the ego and the audacity of Fred Williamson.
Yeah.
And yes, Sharon Eldridge, you put it there in the chat. Len has no patience for this. You do not know how pissed this movie made me. Like,
yeah.
He gets no pass from me.
Pryor and his issues at this point. But just to contextualize Richard Pryor, this is 1975. 1974, he's in Uptown Saturday Night. And yes, that's one scene, but it's a great scene. And in 1976, the year after this, he's in Bingo Long Traveling All-Stars and Motor Kings.
So he's still becoming
But
Richard.
I think he's pretty good in Bingo Long.
No, he's very good in Bingo Long.
Yeah, so it's not like it's not there.
Oh, yeah. No. You know it's there. You know, and you can see to a degree, I don't know necessarily in that scene, but you can see to a very, 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 very small bit that it's there. And I would say you see that more so in his opening scene, where he kind of rides up on the stagecoach and rides the stagecoach. You see a little bit in there, you know?
Yeah.
But not much else.
Yeah.
The rest of the way.
So
would you recommend that people watch Adios Amigos?
I would not recommend that people watch Adios Amigo at all. I would, however, like to note that I watched it through the efforts of our friend Mike Dennis in Real Black. And if you love the Micheaux mission, I think you should make it your business to be familiar with Real Black, REEL Black, and his YouTube channel, where he has a lot of these, because this is out of print.
Yeah.
It's out of print. And I think Mike has done a wonderful job, because I went down a rabbit hole just looking at some of the films that he's curated over there. So do not watch Adios Amigo.
But let that be your guide to Real Black.
Let that be your entree into Real Black.
Well done. Well, there you go. That's good. And
that was my silver lining this afternoon.
Exactly. And I second that, ladies and gentlemen. Don't watch Adios Amigos. Don't do it to yourself. Watch all of the films that, check out the films that Real Black has.
So for the record, if you're keeping track, Len, we've not recommended one Western this month.
Oh, wow. We didn't. Yeah, because we didn't recommend Thomasine the Bush Ride, which would have been the one you would have thought that would. You're right. Well,
next week, as we bring it home,
tune in next week to see whether or not we go 4 for 4 with our unrecommendations, ladies and gentlemen. But before you find out what we're watching next week, we invite you all to like and follow the Micheaux Mission. Like us on all the social media, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Subscribe on our YouTube channel. You can find us at Micheaux Mission. That's MICHEAUX MISSION. You can also email all of your thoughts and concerns and your dirty rice recipes to Micheaux Mission at gmail.com. Also go at our website, micheauxmission.com, where your swag is where we've got all of our cool design and t-shirts brought to you by our good friends at T Public. Also at the Micheaux Mission website, you can also become a subscriber to the Micheaux Mission Dispatch, our weekly newsletter to all of our fans. The Micheaux Mission is available as a proud member of The Podglomerate, curated podcast for your earbuds. Go to thepodglomerate.com. And thank you to our friends at Podglomerate, because this week, Vince and I were very proud to learn that we are one of the featured podcasts for Black History Month on Apple Podcasts. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. So thank you, Apple Podcasts, for recognizing the show. And thank you, Podglomerate, for all the hard work you do in promoting our show so that it gets out there to people. Appreciate you. The Micheaux Mission is also available as a radio show, ladies and gentlemen, in an edited form every Saturday at 1 p.m. on WPPM 106.5 FM, Philly Cam. People Power Media here in the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection. And you can wake up with the Micheaux Mission every Monday morning at 9 a.m. on WKDU FM 91.7, the voice of Drexel University. All right, Vincent, next week, it's my turn.
Yes, it is.
And I'm going to bring it home, Vincent.
All right.
Yes, I am, with a Western from 1999. And it's a Western that, because it is based on one of my absolute favorite TV series from when I was a kid, I made it my point to not see when it came out. I did watch it a few years later.
Okay.
But I didn't see it in the theaters. And I watched it a few years later. And I'll be very interested to return to this film.
Yeah.
Kevin Kline.
Mm-hmm.
Salma Hayek.
Uh-huh.
Kenneth Branagh.
Yes.
And in the lead, what'd you say?
I said a Shakespearean trained actor.
Yes. And in the lead, Philly's own Will Smith.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No, it is not the Fresh Prince of Tombstone, ladies and gentlemen. This film is, in fact, Wild Wild West from 1999.
Yes, it is.
Wow, this movie is already 20 years old.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, it's crazy. That will be our swan song for Black Westerns here in Black History Month on the Micheaux Mission. Tune in next week. It promises to be fun. Until then, please, each and every one of you out there, every one of our missionaries, please be safe. Please be well. And on a personal note, if I can say, I 100% want to thank each and every one of you and Vincent. I look forward to sitting down to talk to you good people every single week, and none more so than this week. And so I just want to thank you very much. This has been a true highlight for my week. Thank you very much. Till next week, he's Vincent, I'm Len, and in parting, we say,
we'll see you when it's time.